Hey there folks, and welcome back to Space Engineers Multiplayer. Today is the day. We're going to be taking a server tour on the old server, and most of everything's been already migrated to the new server, but if you guys still have anything that's left over on the server, make sure to get it on the Discord, or even just let me know in the comment section below and I'll try to get it in the new server. Anyhow, let's take a look. We've obviously seen our base, and it's about the same as last time we left it. So let's take a look at the first other base in the list, which is going to be, go into our entities list, we're going to sort by total block count, and we're going to go to FTL's base. This is FTL's base. They have a substantial amount of actually very large ships. Even after we absolutely obliterated them and brought them down to nothing, they still managed to rebuild quite handily, and as you can see, they've got quite the fleet still. They have quite a number of ships. However, brought into the new server, they only have one, so they had to choose. And yeah, I actually like the designs of some of these ships. They're very sleek and quite deadly. This one appears to be a carrier. It has a deck on the outside, actually with blinking lights and everything, protected by Gatling turrets on the top with a bridge near the back. It's mostly ion powered, however there are a couple of hydrogen thrusters in the back. We're not going to take it for a spin, as this still is their ship and they can still fly around in it until the server closes. And let's head on into the inside. And on the inside they have quite a few ships. It's quite the spectacle to behold. And I got to say, I'm quite impressed with what they managed to accomplish on this server. We're not going to be heading on into the inside of the ship. It doesn't really matter. Let's take a look at a couple of the other ships. This one is more of a frigate. It's got a broadside on it, and it's just quite heavily armed. There is quite the large amount of missile launchers in the front as well. It's a very potent missile launching ship, however, not really great in terms of Gatling defense, so if you had another ship, this one would actually be relatively easy to take out, and the bridge is relatively exposed at that. There's like 2 layers of armor to get to the bridge, and I do believe they have another bridge, a backup bridge, but either way, it's not the most potent of their ships. Still really cool looking though. Gotta say, I'm impressed with it. Probably took quite a amount of resources to build, and even on the inside of this ship, there is not one, but 2 fighters. This is the mining ship that they use to basically get all the resources for everything, and their welder ship that they use to build this stuff, and I'm sure they probably used projectors for everything. And here is the other ship that they have. This one is actually my favorite. I actually really like the design of it. Kudos to whoever designed it. And it's also another potent attack craft. And this one back here is just a little bit of an older design, at least by the looks of it. And I'm guessing a lot of these are based off of workshop blueprints that have been slightly modified for their own design. And I've definitely seen this ship in the workshop before, as well as, I believe, that ship and that ship I've seen in the workshop before. So, good job FTL, I gotta say. I am quite impressed with your build, so let's head on to the next faction. This is the base of Test Faction Please Ignore. I gotta say, I like the idea of going with large rovers as a mobile base, which is what it appears that they're building. They haven't finished it yet, and I'm still going to be pestering them to get it moved over to the new server, as they have not provided a blueprint for that yet. So if you're watching, make sure you get that to me, because the server will be ending in approximately 2 weeks. Alright, anyhow, they've got a couple of other cool ships, cool small rovers, gotta love it. And they've got a little welding ship, a lot of atmospheric things, as they have not left the planet yet, but they have made great strides in the planet itself. So they don't really have much of an interior to their base, just this little thing. I'm not going to show it off, but I gotta say, like some of the builds. We can take a closer look at the large rover that they're building. Looks like it's battery powered and so on and so forth. It's turned off right now, and they're building all sorts of things. Are those hydrogen engines? I believe those are. That's going to be Quite the undertaking building all of that. Alright, let's move on to the next faction. This is the particular base of the Nutcracker Alliance. Gotta love the name. And they have a pretty cool ship here that I'm actually quite a fan of. This is a small grid ship that you can kind of walk about as though it were a large ship. I guess we'll go inside. They have everything moved over the new server, so if somebody happens to destroy it, I don't feel so bad. But it's kind of cool. They got some tables, and they got their cryopods, and some Gatling turrets for protection, and so on and so forth. It's a really cool idea, and I gotta say, the bridge is probably one of the coolest parts to the entire ship, with these panels here and everything. Gotta say, fantastic design on their part. Or if they got it from the workshop, good choice. And they also have a rust freighter that they snagged, but they didn't really do too much with it. And this is the base that they were building, and it's already transferred into the new servers, so good on them for getting that done. And this thing's going to be absolutely massive when it's done by the looks of it. I'm not going to spoil too much of it for anybody, but it's going to be quite vast, and yeah, it's going to be very productive once they get that going. Alright, let's take a look at the next faction. This, impressively, is actually a one-person faction that managed to create all of this. This is actually a very vast, sprawling underground base. I'm not going to go exploring it, but it's a cool little trading depot for people that want to do some trading, and there was a ship around here somewhere that was actually quite extensive, but I don't know where they put it. Ah. Looks like some of their stuff got blown up. This is probably a crater of what's left of it. Anyhow, this definitely was a crater. Anyhow, they have a pretty cool underground base with some ships in here. Well, that's where they would dock the ship, and it goes all the way up here and then underneath, and cool, extensive, and vast base. And I like the design. I think, oh, it looks like they actually may have one other thing over here, so let's take a look. Alright, yes, so this is the main ship for that faction, the KHO faction. It looks like a pretty cool run-of-the-mill freighter that has everything that you need for a mobile base. One thing that it doesn't really have is a lot of defenses, but that's okay. Looks like they made do without many guns. I think they've made peace with more people than anything. Alright. I'm not going to take a tour on the inside. I believe this is just a run-of-the-mill blueprint that you can grab off of the Steam Workshop, so we're going to leave it at that. So, let's take a look at the next faction. And this particular ship belongs to the faction called Covenant of the Night. I'm actually going to go inside this one because I really like the design. I haven't seen this on the Steam Workshop, although it might be a blueprint from there. It's a really cool multi-use design, great for survival. That's what I like about this particular design, is it seems like it's specifically tailored for survival. It's got everything that you need on the inside while still being very compact, relatively well armed, and having everything that you need, including a mining drill, which you can see they were using to refuel their ship. So, let's head on in. Well, first let's head on and look on the outside. As you can see, there's rocket launchers, Gatling turrets, interior turrets, missile launchers, and everything in all sorts of directions, so it's really hard to sneak up on. In addition to that, they have a spherical gravity generator. I believe that's to help with mining. I wonder why it's there. It probably would be of a better use there, but who knows? There might be something else right there that I'm not aware of. Maybe it's a gravity drive. Anyhow, let's head on into the inside of this ship and take a look. This is a ship, I believe, that has backup hydrogen engines, but is reactor powered, and I like the use of these half staircases. so that you can both get up to the top level and use the bottom level. That's a clever design, and I really do like that. And they have places for people to stay, and they do use glass panels. Like, this is a thruster on the other side of it, so this is a very tightly designed ship. So just on the other side of this is a vacuum. So they really did a good job maximizing the use of all the space available. And if you head into the inside, this is the living quarters of the ship. As you can see, it has everything that you need. You got your kitchen, your toilet, your med bay, even a little area with some plants. And then over here is their workshop with a sink and a bar. And I believe they even have a bed. Yep. Everything that you need. And again, they use these half staircases, which is a really clever design. And up here is just another airlock to outside, I believe. Yep, that's just an airlock to outside. And over here is right up to the bridge. Really do like their design, and as you can see, they have automatic doors, which is another cool feature of this ship. I gotta give them props. This is probably one of the cooler builds in the game, because I don't think I've seen it on the workshop. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And it's one of the best survival builds that I've seen on this server, so props to that faction, Covenant of the Night, for making probably the best single ship for survival. And obviously the solar panels are absolutely great for saving power, so you don't have to use your hydrogen engines or reactors for anything. And as you can see, this also is both hydrogen and ion powered, so this is really a fantastic design for a ship. Alright, let's move on to the next faction. This is what is left of the First Colony faction. This is quite an interesting and cool design for a rover, and this is very, very, very much survival oriented, and they never actually finished it. I think mostly everyone from the First Colony faction left to form their other factions, but there are still a few remaining individuals that are still in the First Colony faction. I believe they're online every now and again. Anyhow, this is a really cool design for a relatively standard rover. Everything that you need. Good seating up front. Hydrogen engine powered with batteries and the like. However, I think it's turned off right now, or it ran out of fuel. No, it's definitely turned off. But you can see they've done some mining for their hydrogen all across this lake bed. And they used to have a whole bunch of other stuff, but most of it got blown up, I think. I think this is the only remaining thing that they have. So, that is the remnants of the First Colony faction. Let's take a look. I think we have maybe one or two other factions that are worth taking a look at. There's some smaller factions that we won't really bother with. But let's take a look at the next faction. This faction, if we take a look, is the Brotherhood of Clang, another faction with one member, but they did manage to make a decent amount, even with some help. Anyhow, they have a modest sized base. It's kind of buried into the asteroid a little bit, and they have a ship, an attack ship with a bunch of missile launchers. Never finished it by the looks of it. In fact, it's far, far from finished. It looks like it's a projection that probably is going to be much larger. And they never finished it, but that's okay. They have a small mining ship and a small little fighter here, which is actually a cool design for a fighter, with a couple of Gatling turrets up top and some fixed Gatling turrets. Looks like it's either unpowered or out of hydrogen right now. And I believe that's all they have. I knew that they did have one other ship that they had captured. It was a... I believe I might even have the ship. They had one of these ships, but I believe they face planted it into an asteroid, or it got destroyed somehow. But they had one at some point in time, but that's not theirs, so goodbye. Alright, so that's that. I believe there's just one other faction that we're going to be taking a look at. There's some other smaller people that didn't really do too terribly much, but let's take a look at the other faction. Actually, before we take a look at the last faction, we're going to be taking a look at one of the other Covenant of the Night ships that I completely glossed over. I gotta say, they're probably one of my favorite builders in this particular server. They have a lot of great, fantastic survival builds, and this is yet another one, which is what appears to be a transport, but it's got a really cool interior, or that is very efficient. It almost looks as though it is a survival pod that they just extended and expanded. In fact, we'll just head on the inside because I really do like their builds quite a lot. Looks like I'm all out of power, so I'm gonna have to grab some, steal some power from them. That way I can use my flashlight. There we go. So, as you can see, this is a ship that, for the floor, uses catwalks, and underneath it's the entire conveyor system for everything, which is very unique, and it's a dual pilot setup, which is pretty cool, and the air vents up top, and they have a place for one of the crew members to stay. Very, very tight on the inside of here, but it's got everything that you need. And I really do like the design of it. Fairly simple, yet effective. Okay, so let's take a look at that last faction like I had stated earlier. This is the last build that I wanted to show you guys. This person, I believe, they don't actually belong to any faction, but they have a pretty cool build. They have this pretty fancy survival ship with a gun somewhere. Yeah, they've got a couple of guns. Not really that well protected. In fact, from the bottom it's quite vulnerable, with the exception of a couple of interior turrets. But it's a cool survival build. I really do like it. It's very functional and utilitarian. It's very much along the same lines as the Covenant of the Night ships. I really do like this. I think this is probably a blueprint from the workshop, but if it's not, good job on designing it. They had a pretty cool hidden base inside of an asteroid. I'm not going to show you people where, but it's pretty cool. Not that vast. In fact, I'm upside down in the thing. And yeah, I really do like what they were doing. Unfortunately, we were moving servers and he only moved this ship, but I'm looking forward to what they create, or what he creates, I should say, in the next server, because I can definitely see he's really good at building. And yeah, this is a very vast network of tunnels and whatnot. Really cool. I like the lighting in here too. They even decided to put some lights on pillars, lighting everything up in here. So, really good job with that build. So, I think that will be it for the server tour. Sorry if your build didn't get showcased, but I'm sure it was very fantastic. Alright, that'll be it for this episode. Thank you folks for watching. I'll see you guys on the new server.